Hi, this is Eva for Midnight Mandela. Welcome, everybody. Once Upon a Timeline, also. How are you? Yeah, you guys are just saying Cupid hasn't been here in a long time. I didn't think it was a whole year. Has it really been a whole year? Seems like it was just a few months, but I don't know. Time is so weird now. Yeah, I hope she's all right out there. Cupid, just like drop us a hello in the comments or something if you're still watching. So, yeah, I don't know. So this week, I don't know. It seems like the last couple days I've been really tired and the internet's been terrible. It's just kind of straightening out for tonight, but it's been bad all day. And I was supposed to play pickleball and I felt terrible, but I was going to drag myself over there because I had an appointment to go play with someone else. And then that person canceled. And I think he was feeling crappy too. So I was sort of like, yay, he canceled because I didn't really feel like going. So yeah, just tired. I feel better now though after the sunset, but yeah, it's just been, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if it's getting shifty. So usually right during the shifts, there's not a lot of Mandelas, but then like a week or two after, they start showing up. If it's yeah, emotional issues sometimes come up with the shifts I found. And it's easy to feel like, you feel really emotional and sad, and then it's easy to really get depressed. But try to remember the emotional issues are temporary. You're going to have another day and you're going to feel better. You're not going to feel like this forever. And that does help because it's easy to just think like, I don't want to feel like this sucks, blah, blah, blah. But you will come out of it. Usually if it's shift related, then you'll, in a day you'll go, I don't know why I was so upset yesterday, so I know they suck, but it really helps if you just remind yourself that it's a mood, shift related, and that it will pass. Shari says, oh, so there was some kind of weird earthquake by you? I haven't really seen that on the news, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, isolation is painful. Actually, what was it yesterday? I think I was really like, I don't know. It felt like even when I was around people, I just felt really alone. Like it was unfixable. Like no matter who I hung out with, it wouldn't have fixed my alone feeling. And that was like yesterday. So come to think of it. Yeah, that was kind of weird because usually if you feel lonely, you go like, well, I'll hook up with my friends and I'll feel better. But no, yesterday I was really in that mood. So, but again, I just went, okay, try to wait it out. So today I wasn't in that mood. I felt really tired and I was kind of grouchy, but I didn't have that same lonely mood today. So now after the sunset, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm conflicted about what I believe, like a split personality. Preliminal, I don't know, preliminal. Maybe it's because you're confused between preliminal and preliminal. I do wonder if we converge when those things happen, when there's a Mandela like that. Like, I don't know, maybe just don't worry so much about what you do believe because I don't know, it just like we're just guessing. So does it really even matter that much? I mean, we could just, there's an old saying that, the more you mature, the more real you realize you don't know. You get to the point where you're like, I don't know, whatever, whatever happens is what happens. So I've kind of moved that direction. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm all the way there, but it just seems like the more little clues we get, the more I just realize I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I read somewhere that the blackouts and the Schumann resonance is when timelines change. I know that they had found some kind of pattern, but then it was sort of not holding up for a while, or it wasn't like 100%. So maybe that was it. It seems like once you find something and then you publicize it, then it kind of doesn't work as well. I don't know if it's just we're not ready to know that yet. So yeah, my thing is kind of, I've moved a couple times. A lot of the people that I did used to know that I still technically know, they've changed a lot. So even though they look basically the same, they're really not the people I used to know. So whether I'm with the people I know or I'm not, I'm not sure how much difference it really makes. So I don't know. You just have to try to take a different attitude about it and stuff. So you guys are talking about trying to change other people. I do agree you can't push people, but I don't agree to give up. So what I try to do is just um, put like a little nudge once in a while in a spot where they might be more open to it. Like just put that little seed in there. But if you try to like force them, they're gonna dig in their heels. So for the waking up thing, I do feel like a lot of people are starting to notice things with the third pokey poke. A lot of people are saying, I don't know if I want to get the third one. They got the first two. So I think that there is some shift in opinion there. Not everybody. And online is a lot of bots and shills and stuff, so it's hard to tell. But it does seem like there's been kind of a new wave of people going, wait a minute. Because, I mean, if you think about it, the third one, if they're only going to last like a few months, then there's no end now. And they're starting to talk about, you're now not kosher unless you get the third one and like that. And just a reminder, don't forget to use euphemisms when you're writing about these things. One of my sister got her third one for the first time, got really sick. I told her they finally got you. Yeah, so I guess the third one is like a half dose, so it might not be quite as bad as the second dose for some, but still, if they get worse each time and they're never going to be done with them. I mean, they're talking about Christmas being disrupted for 5 years now. So, I mean, how many more jibby jabbies do they plan to give if they're saying that it lasts only X number of months? That's at least twice a year. I'm betting that they're going to go for more than that. So, in California, they were saying at first just the third one for the at risk. And my understanding is only been emergency use authorized for at-risk people. It has not been authorized for any other people. But then about last week, my state, California, started. I saw their advertising switched from those at risk to get your pokety poke, just get it, And I'm like, wait a minute. So I look up, and the official word from California is they're going to let you decide if you're at risk. You don't have to make a case if you think you're at risk. And then they had this big wide range of at risk due to your job or your exposure or the blah, So now they're just advertising get it. They're not advertising if you're at risk. But it's only approved for at risk. So I don't know if they're going to change the approval or what. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to try to push that on everybody, though. So yeah, someone was saying if they aren't listening, they don't want to. There's no use wasting your time. I agree with that, but I wouldn't totally give up on them because some people kind of change their tune at surprising times. One last thing pushes them over, or they finally reach a threshold where they start to question. And remember, they're not all going to jump. We've had how many years, decades? Most of us have been decades that we've been processing this. So remember that they're kind of new to the game. So you really can't hit them with like a megaton of more stuff. Just, don't push them too hard. Just let them process, because I didn't come all the way around in 2 weeks either. First there was 9/11, then bit by bit, and I was a little bit more open to start with. So basically people are going to have to choose. They're getting it rammed down their throat right now, and try to have a little sympathy for them, because we were more able to tolerate the message, and we started on it earlier. And now these people have basically waited the last minute, and they're going to have a lot to process, and it's going to be very destabilizing for them. Yeah, yeah, nanoparticles always fun. AKA Life Matrix. I don't know who is AKA Life. I mean, I know who Life Matrix is, but I don't know how we're talking about that person. Um, yeah, he had an interesting video on. So he doesn't have videos on that long. So if you want to watch him, you got to like run over and watch him. But he has an interesting one on about the Central Park in New York has a whole bunch of structures in it and stuff now that I don't remember being in there. And I know I didn't watch like the whole show because I just saw it today. But Linda Lava Lamson, hello. Internet is badly. It's been bad all day, really bad. I rebooted everything. I had times when it wouldn't even go on. So I'm actually shocked it's working kind of decently right now, but at least from my end. Moody shiftiness. Yeah, it seems like it. Anyway, logical danger. Make sure to use euphemisms in your written comments because they will remove this whole video if we're not more careful about what we say. Because, of course, right? Of course, we would never go against the official narrative, right, people? Right? Right. So. So yeah, don't write the C word and try not to write the V word. You'll see I don't say it either. Because if you write stuff like that, the whole video could be removed. And I've had it happen. So I'm already on the short list. When you feel upset, you don't know why, try to shield yourself with mirrors. Huh, does that work? I don't know. Walks in nature help some. Concerted effort to change my attitude works some, but it's so insidious because you're like in it, and then when you're in it, it's hard to dig out of it. Um, just trying to be patient and wait it out helps some. She feels desolate, barren, hopeless, and alone. Yeah, that was kind of how it felt. But again, these moodinesses don't last. You know, we get through them and then we go on to other things. So even though it, feels like that, it's not going to be forever. Like getting stuck in Barstow. Because I live in the city, sometimes it's fun being in Barstow and it's all sleepy and quiet and there's it's just there's so much space, like abandoned buildings because the property values are low, and it's kind of nice if you grew up in the city to just not feel all that hustle and bustle. His really Life Matrix's sister died? I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry. I'm assuming we're talking about Life Matrix still. Oh, it's Angels Don't Fall. Got the Britney. Yeah, the Britney. So she died from the Britney. Bible says not to cast pearls before swine, yet we are still to spread the seed. Yeah, it's tricky, if you go too hard, some people are going to go the way they're going to go and you can't do anything. But some people can be gently nudged and could still turn. So you just have to try what you can, but don't push too hard. I saw the Central Park video. I don't remember the lake, the golf course, or the museum popped up. Never seen the museum. So, I actually, about 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, I just Google Earthed on Central Park a lot, because I was kind of checking out New York. We had all the Statue of Liberty stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, a lot of New York just looks weird in it. I was seeing new islands, and Life Matrix covered that a bit too, and I agree with what I've seen so far in his. And I don't remember seeing. I actually specifically looked at Central Park to try to get a feel for it because it felt like those are the types of places that are changing. And I don't remember any structures of merit in there. I remember cement paths, a whole bunch of greenery, and some water, but I don't remember like a giant water. Now, I'm not 100% on that water because I do remember a body of water, but I don't remember the big one that's there now. And I don't remember all those structures. It almost is like it, because it was like all park before. Now, maybe there was a couple little thingies in there that didn't really show at from a height, but I don't remember all that stuff's there. So unless they said they built that in the last few years, then it wasn't there for me. I mean, it really was just greenery and paths and water. And I kind of thought that was the whole point, right? Not to have a bunch of buildings and stuff in there because you were supposed to be escaping the city. So if you have a giant museum and all this crap in there, it's not escaping the city. Samir Unlu, I don't think I remember you in here, so welcome. Says, that's true. If they knew everything at once, their heads would explode. Yeah, I mean, really, think about it. We did not process it all in 2 weeks. I mean, there's a little bit of a shock, and then we adjust, and a little bit of shock. I mean, they're still getting over not blindly trusting the government, so they're way back there. They've got a lot to deal with. And they were the more reluctant ones because they didn't come to it as fast, so. I remember first, yeah, there's a lot of things I thought was really loony sounding before that I'm like, nah, that's crazy, dude. Like, for instance, I think it was about 15 years ago, I heard like the spiritualist, New Agey people, New Agey, were saying DNA is changing, the DNA is going to change to something new. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. DNA can't change. That is the silliest thing. I'm like, you guys didn't talk like that. You're making yourself sound silly. Well, I had to eat my words, obviously. And big time on that. So the Britney, Shari, the Britney is the Britney Spears, which sounds like another word. So some people are calling it the Britney instead of the, jib jab or something, because it's a little bit harder for them to decipher what you're talking about when you say the Britney. So yeah, anyway, so DNA is a change, and and I know for some people that totally sounds insane because I was one of those people before. So, I talk about it on this show, but I don't go around saying it in regular life because I know it sounds totally insane, but yet, where else can you go? They cut her off her meds. She was a painful addict and had the Britney, and then they cut off the pills. That's one thing that they're really doing is, they get you started on those pills, and then they suddenly cut you off. Like you go to get your refill, and it's like, And I thought that they're supposed to let you taper off and help you with those things. But no, they just cut it off, and then they're like, they treat you like dirt. And so, like, I'm on the narcolepsy boards, and that happens a lot to narcoleptics because they need stimulants to stay awake a lot of times. And suddenly they'll get, like, their doctor will retire, and the new doctor will just be like, no, you can't have them. And they're supposed to taper off, but they don't care. They just like, they cause, it's horrible, all the stories I hear. And then people have to go through withdrawals, and they don't get anything to help them, and it's extremely dangerous. And it just made me so disgusted with the medical community because they don't, even if you are an addict, then they should be helping you get the treatment you need. Then instead, the doctor just like, no, you can't have any pills. F off, So it's really horrible. And I mean, a lot of these people in the narcolepsy boards, they've been legally been allowed to get this medication because you literally, if you have narcolepsy really bad, you literally can't stay awake. You can't function without it. So it's a little bit different than just being addict, but yet also you will have withdrawals if you've been on it a long time, addict or no. There's withdrawals on some of these medications. You're not supposed to suddenly cut off. Okay, so Life Matrix's sister. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I didn't watch, there's 2 videos up, and I watched like half of the most recent one. So yeah, I know that term, the Britney, because I've seen it on other channels, because she's Spears. But yeah, the only risk about using that a lot is that it gets too common, then they'll put it in the algorithms. Moon looks big. Yeah, the moon, I finally was home at the right time, that it was just coming up over the horizon earlier today. And it is still coming up in the same place I remember it, behind the same bushes that I remember it many, many, many years ago. It's just that it used to always come up at sunset for me. Like right after the sun set, the moon would come up. So it was every day at the same time. Now it's all, and it could have moved a little bit, but, those bushes have grown, so they're not exactly the same shape that they were back then. But it's generally the same spot, I can say that much. I was kind of wondering, I was trying to catch it coming up. It used to be I just go out there right after dark, and there it was every night in the exact same spot. But that and the cold turkey cut off her pills. She had a grip every day, so without the regular dose, the immune system freaked out. Yeah, see, there's a huge, withdrawals, it's not just psychological, it's physical. So there's a lot going on. And I don't know what pills she was on, but I know some of the stimulants are anti-inflammatories. Like, I'm not on the really hard stimulants, but I sometimes take like, what is that one called? Broncaid, which is an over-the-counter one. It's a little bit of a stimulant. It's like mid-range. It's enough that you don't really get addicted, but it's enough that if you're a normal person, you'll feel jittery if you take them. So those have anti-inflammatory powers. So sometimes like if I have a chest infection, I will take them just for that. And they clear out my chest really nice. So I'm not sure on the other stimulants, but they may also. I haven't really looked into that because I pretty much look into the stuff, that I use. So. Oh, yes. You had the Mandelas about the origins of plants and animals. I think didn't you just like make a comment? I checked comments like yesterday, so I didn't really have time to incorporate them in. The one I do remember is I do remember horses in the United States being non-native to the United States. And I wasn't able to check your stuff, but I think you were saying that they have now always been native to the United States, and I agree that that is not correct. Horses were non-native, and they were brought in and I didn't remember who brought them in, but I do remember them being brought in. I think you said it was Europeans, but they were non-native. I agree with you there. So yes, if they're native now, then I agree that is not accurate. Yeah, see, somebody said somebody's sister died, but then I'm like, who? Because his sister died. I'm like, oh, I don't know which one of the 10 people we are talking about here. So I guess it's Life Matrix, and that really sucks. I didn't know that. Air quality in San Diego is bad, nasty, yucky lately. I just have trouble anymore staying awake during the day. I get up early. Eyes are technically open, but it's like my brain does not kick in. I've gotten better with the B1, with the vitamin B1 has helped a lot. So now I could function a lot better, but I just don't want to do anything, still. And last few days have been extra bad. I just don't want to do anything until right when the sun sets. So I'm actually getting more done in winter because the sun sets earlier. And so then I'm kicking out at 5 o'clock, getting stuff done instead of like 9. We got flies that bleed red. Ew, that's gross. No, I don't remember that. They just, what did bugs bleed? They bled like Nothing. You just smooshed them. There was some juice sometimes, but it wasn't red. That's gross. Will, welcome to the channel. Chip Tatum. I don't know Chip Tatum. Is there something I'm looking for on that person? That is not somebody I'm familiar with. All right, Shari says, me, Dan, Scarab are the only people who remember this Samantha from Bewitched Emmy being an old one. Does anybody else remember the change? No, I don't. Okay, so I think we're just down to the end. Oh, Strange Times, your life matrix. Okay, I get it. Welcome, welcome. So your sister died? No, you have no sister. So somebody's sister died, but I still don't know who it is. Yeah, okay, so the Samantha from Bewitched, the First Nation, they did have horses, but they are not native to here. Europeans brought them in, and then the Native Americans pretty much like took to them even better than the Europeans. They stole some, they bred them, and the next thing you know, they had a very natural, quickly adapted relationship with horses. But so they didn't have them before the Europeans came. Used to be. That was more of a more recent thing. They didn't have them originally. They just very much took to the whole system. Seagulls are now in the mountains. Seagulls are kind of weird, for most of my life, I would see them even 30 miles from shore here in town. When the storms would come, they would fly inland. And so you would see the seagulls flying. You'd hear their calls, and they would fly inland. You go, okay, there's a storm coming. The seagulls are flying in. And you just see a few of them, but that hasn't happened for like 4 or 5 years now. They don't fly inland anymore. So there's that. Okay, so the Samantha from Bewitched. Okay, so do you know the old show Bewitched? This one was, I think Hazel Fiver found it. So it's new for me. Apparently not for some people. A lot of it's new for, and a few people it's not new for. So for me, if you remember the old show Bewitched, so basically the story was there was this good witch that tried to blend in with society and married Darren, who was, a regular dude with a regular job. And then she kind of has her wacky, eccentric witch mother, and she's trying to fit in with the normal people. And, the witch mother is like, don't mess with them. And she's all, kind of eccentric. And so there's the whole, kind of a comedy shenanigans kind of thing. And so how each of these witches had a way of initiating their magic spells, and the way that Samantha had it that we all remember, and you may too if you saw the show, was she would wiggle her nose. But now suddenly she like wiggles her mouth. And it's funny because I used to always think that would be cool if I could wiggle my nose, but I was too lazy to try to do it, and it ain't easy to wiggle your nose. So now she twitches her lip, and she doesn't wiggle her nose at all. And I kind of was discussing this with somebody else online, and I'm thinking that it may be that with all the anatomy changes in the nose, it may not be possible to wiggle the nose like she now does not do, that she once did. Because we've got more bone up here, and the muscle structure seems to have changed a lot. There's a lot more air passages in there. And the other thing that about 4 or 5 years ago Mandela affected noticed that you can now pull your nose in. You can kind of suck it in, out like a rabbit. It kind of goes like that. So you have that. And I don't remember being able to do that before, but he noticed it. He's like, you can do this now. So there's like different muscles, I think, and that might be why she changed. And, I don't watch this show a lot, so, who knows when it really changed. Did we just notice it now? Did it change a long time ago? Did it change 5 minutes ago? Okay, so Live Matrix's sister didn't die. Somebody's sister died because somebody said his sister died. I don't know whose sister died. Okay, well, I'm glad your sister didn't die. I'm sorry somebody's sister died, but I don't know who it is. So anyway, that one was found by, what was it? Hazel Fiver. And it's funny because they were talking about somebody else, something else in the show, and then Hazel Fiver was watching clips of the show, and he's like, wait, her nose is not moving. And that was like a bigger Mandela than the first one that was being discussed, which I can't remember now. Yeah, her nose always twitched, and there's like a ton of residue. I'm not going to go all through it. Hazel Fiver has it on, and Moneybags has a big one on it, and they go through all. There's like a million places where it says the nose twitch, the nose twitch. I don't know if that residual is going to dry up, but right now, yeah, I think everybody looks different though. So I'm not surprised she looks different, but yeah, I don't know. She looks less different than a lot of people for me. But, anyway, so there's a ton of residual. Pretty much anywhere, at no place does it say she twitches her lips. There's literally no place that it says that. It's always the nose. It's like everywhere. I don't know if that'll change, but if we are living the Matrix, I really want to know a few cheat codes. So, I don't know. The only thing I could think of is, you get what you concentrate on, the like law of attraction. I would say try to follow that one. And I think also, the basic Bible praying thing I think is also good, because when you pray, it is like if you're doing it even anywhere near right, it's a positive thing, not the kind of, I don't have any power, so I'm totally not going to do anything kind of praying, but like it just positive vibes, looking for positive, positive. And I think that works also. When things are bad, ask for help, ask for help from the positive force, basically, whatever you want to call it. There is something peculiar going on with nose eyes. I have some problems and no doctor can find anything. So, what I noticed last week, and thanks for reminding me, it's not nose eyes, but it's my back teeth especially. There's something funny about the alignment in my teeth. I don't even know how to describe it, because it just feels like different teeth are impacting in a different way. And then for a while, the like way back ones seemed like they were hitting each other way sooner than the rest of the teeth, which is not normal. And now it seems like it's kind of abated. But yesterday it was like the two back teeth were hitting so early that it was kind of disrupting my bite a little. And then the whole thing just felt weird and kind of heavy. Like my mouth was like heavy. It was just, I don't know how to describe it, but it was just like my teeth were weird, and it wasn't pain, and there wasn't anything like that, but it was like not right. So I'm wondering if there's some shifts, those are kind of tricky, because if your jaw changes shape by a couple millimeters, I'm not gonna be able to see it visually, but it felt weird. Somebody is watching old daytime TV to notice this. Yeah. And that's why I have to wonder how long these will be changed before somebody notices it. Because it has to be a Mandela affected person that just happens to have a really sharp eye and paying attention and watching these shows. Nobody I know. So Mandanimal could always do the rabbit nose. Yeah, I don't think I could before. And that was what Mandela Affected was saying. He didn't think he could do that before. Hazer Fiver. Somebody put the Hazer Fiver channel up there. Cheat code, breathwork, meditation, prayer. Yeah. Positive thinking, Loa. Yeah, I'm going to work on that breath work. I was thinking of trying that. I haven't really. I mean, beyond really elementary stuff, take deep breaths, that kind of thing. Some meditation, you work on breath some, but I think the sinus sections of the face are changing again. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it was something that was moving the teeth around or the bite. It feels better today. Sometimes I feel like my wisdom teeth are back, even though they have all been removed. Yeah, it was something like the back teeth were just sticking out weird, and I actually was kind of felt like they were hooking on each other if I just did it a little long. So the bones in the nose, like this one up here, that one's been around for what, a year maybe, a little bit more. That top bone for me. The whole bone structure all in here is all different though, and then of course you have the bone behind the eyes now. So true, energy thoughts are so important. One reason I don't watch the news anymore because it's always purely negative. Pretty much, yeah, fear porn. The world's, this and this and this, fear, fear, fear. I don't watch it a lot. I like to read sometimes just to see what's going on, but I can skim over the excessive stuff. Popcorn will do that. Nope, I'm not a fan of popcorn, frankly. I rarely eat it, and I haven't been. If I do eat it, it's just because of the butter, basically. I like butter and salt, and I wouldn't eat it except for that. And even then, I don't eat that much. Check out the Convair Model 118 Conair car. Convair car. So yeah, I was going to talk about that Bewitched one a tad. That's been everywhere. I definitely agree. Oh, weird. It's like a... Well, that looks ridiculous. If I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing, that is so... Oh, come on. Come on, people. I've never seen that before. Check that out. That's so crazy. No, that's so wrong. I'm sorry. That's one thing, if you ever saw it, you would not forget. And then this one looks weird because there's no like cockpit up here, but I guess it's on the bottom now. I really don't think that these things with this, this big area down here and these tiny wings would have flown in the old timeline. It's too non-aerodynamic. There's not enough wing. There's no way. Where's even the engine at? It's not forward. It's not back. It's where? I don't know. Is it just this? Is this the only? I don't know. It looks like it's missing something. It's got a propeller. What? That's it? One propeller? It's got to have more stuff on it to make it go, doesn't it? That's so funny. Look at that thing. I should have put that as a thumbnail. I would have if I'd known. Yep. Who did you like better, Ginger or Marianne? The famous guy question. With Bewitched, I looked up the Dutch version of Bewitched. She used to snap her fingers. Now it's a clap. Maybe more other gestures than other series. Interesting. So what other gestures are there? I mean, there's what shows had gestures even? Try to think of one other one that... This car was used in one of James Bond's movies. Not any one that I saw. And I think I've seen them all, unless it's a really new one. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. There could have been some James Bonds from like pre-70s I didn't see, so there could have been that. Talking out the traffic lights with the wings. Yeah, it doesn't look really all that useful. Mandaplane. So, yeah, they are coming out with some interesting flying cars now. They're kind of like, drone versions. So they're like giant drones that you can sit in, basically. I think the range is only like 50 miles, but it's a start. And they run on battery, so basically we just need more battery. We need to have, the minute there's like a much better battery system, then things are going to explode. Chip Tatum spills the beans on the CIA drug running, not Mandela effect related, but might be interesting. Yeah, there's so much crookedness showing up in history. Like if you look at experimentations by the CIA on citizens, like secret experimentation, there's so much now. That first there was just a few, and now there's like 50 of them, and they get worse like every year or every few months. Cinderella had two sisters, Anastasia and Drusilla. I think it was Drusilla. She doesn't just have two. Yeah, Eliza Powell says two, Drusilla. She has more than two now? Yeah, I thought it was just two. Have you seen the Back to the Future musical? Gosh, I'm not sure if one of those existed, whether I would know about it or not, frankly. Um, I've never heard of it, I can tell you that though, and it sounds pretty darn corny. So yeah, when I used to watch Samantha, I wish I could do the nose thing, and I tried it, but I couldn't. But it seemed like you really had to practice, but I think you can't do it now. Yeah, two stepsisters and a stepmother. That's what I remember. Okay, so I was gonna do this one as the thumbnail. This one was from. I've been kind of talking about this, but it was a user will work for answers. Let's see. I think the usernames are at the bottom now. Used to be at the top. I don't know if it's a Mandela or they just changed their system. Used to be. Oh, here. Will work for answers. Okay, so um, I've noticed this with the local rabbits that their tails are getting longer. I mean, everything's tail is getting longer, but this one was ridiculous. So the story now is that have rabbits have longer tails, but they keep them like curled up. So they look like a poof ball, but they're kind of curled up. So they're actually longer, like more like this. This thing looks ridiculous. It looks like it has an aborted arm. And if it wasn't the wrong orientation, I probably would have used this one as the thumbnail because that's ridiculous. So you can see here, the tails are getting longer. They used to just be a really tiny little puff. But so it used to be a little tiny puff here, but now you get all this. And this is, the wild rabbits that are local is where I've really seen this with this whole thing. They used to just have a little thing here, but now they have this big giant thing. So this one looks normal, but it's actually curled in here. So this tail is longer than it looks because it's curled. Now we used to sell rabbits where I worked at Petco, and there's no way that they had these big long tails. And a lot of these are domestic ones. But like I said, the wild ones locally have really cranked on the tails to a large extent. So, of course, somebody's naysaying it. But, I've been observing the wild rabbits here for about 2 decades. And I've definitely noticed that they've changed. Even when the tail is up, it's up way more, and there's a way bigger white area back there. Look at the deer tails. Like, they used to just have a white tail, but now they have this whole white patch on their butt and their butt cheeks, and it's like the whole white area is like huge now. Yeah, Tabitha was mimicking her mother by wiggling the nose with the finger. That's right. So she would take her hands and go like this, and the mother would sometimes put her fingers on there to help Tabitha. Tabitha is the kid of Samantha in the show, in Bewitched. And then I recall that later, I don't know, they were probably practicing it like crazy, like in their normal life to get it, but it got to where the kid could kind of wiggle it, but it was kind of slow, but she could do it. So she was practicing, I think, a lot, but she could wiggle it, but it was slow. I kind of wonder what the kid does now. It probably isn't that anymore. I wonder if the wiggle, like where she grabs the nose and wiggles it. Breathwork is amazing. There's a lot of different ones. Wim Hof. So yeah, Wim Hof has gotten really popular locally. So I was thinking of trying that one. I think I'll just go online and get it because like the classes are like $100 for 2 hours, and I'm like, I really can't see how he's going to do anything that you couldn't do on a internet search on YouTube. So breath is really different now. You can hold your breath easier. You can hold it a lot longer. I've totally noticed that myself that, when you hold your breath for a short time, it doesn't seem difficult even though the lungs themselves are smaller and they don't take in as much air. Look, Captain Crunch, we will talk about whatever we got to talk about the Mandela. Rabbit butt cheeks are mild compared to where we've been a few times. Buffering. Oh, look, yeah, I see I'm frozen on there too. I hope it kicks in. Let me make sure. I still have internet down here. Come on. All right, I'm not. Okay, it looks like it's moving again. Yay. No, it's frozen again. Come on. Yeah, I don't know what to do because the internet has just sucked lately. So I hope you're still hearing it, even if it's buffering. Okay, good. I'm just going to like charge forth and hope that it straightens out. All right, so that was the long tails. And really, there was a lot of good pictures scrounged up by Will Work for Answers. He comes up with a lot. She comes up with a lot. So I get a lot of Mandelas from Will Work for Answers. Okay, this one was kind of an interesting one. So this one came up from somebody that I talk with. I know from way back, pre-Mandela. We'll call her PJ. She knows who she is. So she came up with this interesting one. Basically, it's not exactly a Mandela, but so they found all these tunnels. Now we've been talking about all the tunnels are showing up. Apparently, they're not done finding. I mean, the whole planet is gonna be Swiss cheese by the time they're done with these tunnels. So now we got more tunnels showing up, and these are they. And so they're saying, oh, well, they can't be explained geologically because the geology is not right for tunnels. So now they're saying that these giant ground sloths 8,000 years ago burrowed these out, okay? And so you can see they're fairly big, like a human could walk in most of them. Here's another one. So these little blobs back here are people. Open in a new tab. You can see it over here. No. All right, well, we can go through it like this way too. So here's the thing, okay? According to their story, 8,000 years ago, giant ground sloths burrowed out these tunnels with their claws. So my first question is, I mean, this one especially looks like it's stone. So are they saying that the dirt turned to stone over 8,000 years without any compression or anything? That doesn't make any sense. But I don't see that these clawed creatures could dig through rock either. And I don't see any claw marks on this stone. Okay, so let's say it's not stone. I swear this one looks like stone, but if it's not stone, first of all, we should see way more claw marks. Way more. Second ago, 8,000 years, this should collapse. There's no way that dirt is going to hold up for 8,000 years. But it gets weirder because they say that the tunnels over time have expanded due to erosion. So I don't get it now. Are they saying that wind ripped in here or a river? Because I don't see any signs of a ravine from a river. If the walls eroded and fell, then they should fall down into the center here. Now, you could almost make an argument for this short little tunnel, but then when you get into these long tunnels, there's no way wind is in here. There's no evidence of water. There's no rain in here. These are Byzantine tunnels that are cut off from the regular weather systems. So then you look at this one, and it doesn't look carved at all. I don't know what caused that, but it does not look like some claws of some animal. This one could be mud, but if this is mud or whatever, how did it last 8,000 years? How come there's, it just, those don't really look like claw marks to me either. So they show a couple spots here, and they say that this is claw marks. I don't really see that as claw marks. It's the closest picture I've seen to claw marks, but that really doesn't look that much like claw marks to me. And so there's all this claw marks right here, but none like here and here and here, even though the same creature is supposed to have burrowed out the whole thing. Now, if a creature burrowed out the whole thing, I would expect these claw marks to be all over the tunnels, but there's only a couple spots, and they were saying, one place was saying a few spots in the roof. Then there was this image. She doesn't look like she's glued under the roof. So, but yet it doesn't really look, when my cat digs a hole, when my dog digs a hole, they pretty much go like one way, like this. They're not like, there's no like this sideways one here, and then there's a sideways one, then there's a down one. These are a little bit closer, but then there's a lot of sideways ones. And what made all these pokey holes? Then how come there's none right there? I mean, and there's not very many of these images. So I feel like the whole burrowing thing is a big bunch of horse hockey. Okay, so let's see. Open in a new tab. So I really feel like, this is the stupidest story I've heard in a while, basically. You can see some of these are really long. Now, some of them that are narrower, those look like they filled up with dirt over time. Maybe water has washed mud in there. But they're saying the reverse, that they got larger due to erosion. That makes no sense. The holes have been dated to 8,000 to 10,000 years ago. Okay, here's another example of the so-called scratches. Does that look like scratches to you? It does not in any way look like scratch marks to me. That, a close-up look at those claw marks. That is not a claw mark. The ones above, you could, at least there's an argument for it, but this looks nothing at all like a claw mark. Anybody who has cats or dogs or animals knows that that's not a claw mark. So they're saying these ancient sloths did it. I'm like, this is baloney. Their argument is baloney. Like I said, I'd really like to check that, but that really looks to me like that is the dirt down here, and this is stone. So, I mean, there's no way. There is no way. Anyway, so very weird. So what was the title was, Get Lost in Megatunnels, dug by South American megafauna. I almost made that In fact, I did make that the thumbnail, didn't I? I was like struggling which thumbnail. Yeah, it looks like a horta. You're right. You're right. You're right. It looks like a horta. Okay, so if anybody's not a Star Trek fan, the original Star Treks had an episode where there's this creature that had like an acidic skin and it could burrow through solid rock and make holes and tunnels and stuff. And it was called a horta. And yeah, there was a very corny scene with Spock in there. Eva, I just heard from Cupie. She says she's fine, just taking a break. Well, that's good. Not that she's taking a break, that she's fine. Random. Thanks for telling me. So Cupie's fine. That's good to know. Yeah, it's a lot. And with the whole big C going on and stuff, Intrepid will work for answers or I will work for answers. She better be will work for answers because I don't remember I will work for answers. It's will work for answers still, right? All right, now I got to go look. I remember will work for answers. So if it's I will work for answers, that ain't right. Now, how long ago was that? Let's see. It was a while back. Let's go to old Reddit. It's gotten really active suddenly on Retcon. It was like really, well, I don't want to say really slow, but there was only like a couple of posts per day for a while. All right, I don't remember. Not that one. This one. Yeah, it still will work for answers. Yep. Okay, so has not changed for me. Eva, I just something. So John, is it Levi or Levy? I always assumed it was Levi, like the pants, but John Levi. So there's a lot of like Tartaria, mud flood, kind of stuff that he does. I don't always agree. I think sometimes he kind of very much like passes over an obvious explanation for something to like a more outlandish explanation. So I don't always agree with him on that. But, at the same time, I'm not at any more at a point where I'm going to say I really know the answer. Maybe all that crazy imagination is what's driving the whole phenomena anyway. So maybe anything can be true. So I'm not as judgmental on that as I used to be. But I want a giant ground sloth. Austin 108's in. Petrified mud, nothing surprised. I don't know. Yeah, I'm waiting for more on that. I couldn't find much but what I showed you. Giant chicken scratches. Yeah, and then they were saying it was on the roof. I'm like, okay, so if that's mud, then there should be scratches on the wall, right? And then I only saw like those two images that looked anything like scratches, that only really one even looked anything like scratches. Silicon-based life form was Horta. Yes, silicon-based life, you're right. I remember that. What if the giant sloths come back? So they'll never say, oh, hey, the giant sloths have come back. But we've definitely seen a lot of animals that are getting like bigger and bigger and bigger. Like otters are like 8 foot long now in some places. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got something like a sandworm because, there's dune and then there's tremors and all this stuff. It might take a bunch of shifts, but I think we're going to have to see. I'm seeing like snakes that burrow under the sand a lot in the last few years. I've gotten on the wrong train 3 times in a row. What the F? Fourth time's a charm. Huh, that's interesting because it was like about 1 week ago. I just couldn't get my brain to work, and it was already after dark, but I thought I was fine, but I just kept. I'm trying to drive home. There's this restaurant I really like that's like about 20 minutes away, and sometimes I'll just drive there for it. And it's not real expensive or anything, but then I have to pay for the gas, so that kind of makes up for it. But I just couldn't. I don't know why my brain wouldn't work. I like kept taking the wrong turn, and then I was in the wrong lane, and then I couldn't get over fast enough, and then I accidentally exited the freeway, and then I was like, okay, I'll make a left and get back on the freeway, but then somehow I wasn't in the right lane to make the left, and then I couldn't find a U-turn, and then I finally got back, and then I missed the turn to get back on the freeway, and now I'm doing it again, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, how come I can't freaking drive home? You know, it was really weird. It was like the part of my brain that was in charge of it just couldn't like work right or something. It was really weird. I kind of felt like I wasn't paying attention, but yet I was paying. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I was trying to, and I don't usually have to pay attention to drive home because I know the route. So, you know, it's not like my first time driving home, and it's just like I couldn't get that part of my brain online right or something. So I don't know, maybe that's part of the recent shift. It's like, you know, some of these things are so specific and weird. It's like, you know, why? Why one day I can't get my brain to pick the proper path, and then another day I can pick the path fine when I'm driving, but when I'm walking, my feet aren't quite right. I mean, it's just like I wish I knew because it's so weird. All right, so we got that one. I got that one. Mega tunnels. So yeah, it hasn't been very busy. I did look some for Mandelas. I didn't find a lot. The ones that are the good ones this week were found by others. I'm not sure how old they are, like that Samantha one. Okay, this one I found myself. And I don't know if you'll see this one, but this one I'm 100% sure of. For many years, when it would get cold out and you would have to pee. Sorry, the subject matter is not that exciting, but you know, when it's cold, you'd have to pee more, okay? And so like you'd be fine in the house, and then you go outside and it's cold, and suddenly you got to pee because it's cold. And it was always said, like in 100 places, and I looked it up and I was fascinated. I'm like, why? Well, basically they said that, and I don't know if you remember this, why you had to pee was because your bladder shrunk. So basically the story was that when it got cold, your body would basically pull in your organs tighter and shrink down to try to conserve heat. So they'd said your bladder would shrink by 30%. So every time I'd have to pee for like years and it was cold, I go, well, of course I got to pee because my bladder shrunk by 30% because it's cold. Well, that's not a thing anymore. I can't even find any residual on it. It's like gone. So they said some people still have to pee when it's cold, but it has nothing to do with your bladder shrinking. Nothing. Now it is cold diuresis. Diuresis. Okay, so what in the heck is that? All right, so your bladder doesn't shrink at all. What they're saying happens, why cold temperatures affect urination. Your bladder doesn't shrink. This is not the exact one I was looking for, but so now they're saying that your bladder doesn't tighten up, but your blood vessels constrict when it's cold outside. And how much depends on the person. So not everybody has to pee when they're cold. I'm wondering if there's a timeline when you didn't have to pee when you're cold and the timeline when you did, and now we're all together. And so you have to come up with a story to explain why you still got to pee when you're cold. So now it's this cold diuresis. So some people's blood vessels constrict when they're cold, and that makes your blood pressure go up. This is the story. It's a stretch, okay? So, like, if they constrict that much, though, and then your blood. Have you ever heard of, like, your blood pressure going up when you're cold outside? I mean, it'd seem like it would go way up, right? If you really had to, if it really constricted that much. So then they're saying, oh, so then your kidneys go, oh, we don't want to have high blood pressure. So the kidneys pull out some of the fluids from your blood vessels and shunt it to your bladder. So they're basically now saying the reason you got to pee is because your kidneys sucked out fluids from your blood vessels. So I'm like, well, what happens, when you go back in the warmth then? You pushed out the fluids, you peed, then you go back, are your blood pressure going to drop when you go back in the heat because you don't got enough fluids and then your capillaries loosen up? I mean, the whole thing is kind of weird. I don't know. So that's where they say that fluids come from now. And they're saying it makes it harder for you to contract your muscles. So it's like harder. How does that make you got to pee, though? It means you pee out less, but now they're saying, I don't know. Well, anyway, the whole thing is weird because I absolutely 100% remember that your bladder would shrink. Sweetheart 1-1 got just in time for the oh so exciting conversation. I cannot identify with that pee thing. Huh. So it wasn't in your timeline, huh? I don't know when this changed. I've kind of gotten to the point where whenever I think of some old lore that I remembered, I just get online and check it. Is it still true? And that's how I learned this one, because I'm like, is it still true that your bladder shrinks? Click, 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 click. It's not. Direction disorientation has happened once in a while. Yeah, it was just this one day. I was just like, what is wrong with my brain? It's like, how many times can you screw up driving home from a route that you know? And it's just not, something. I mean, like 5 times more screw ups than should be humanly possible in one day. It's like I screwed up, like I got off the wrong exit, then I couldn't get turned around, then I got turned around and drove by it again, and then I had to, it was like so stupid. Sweetheart 11 says, I look beautiful. Well, if you say so, I won't argue. I do have my suspicions, though. But thank you. Here's a Mandela effect this week for me. Who learned that squashing a cockroach would release its eggs? Not anymore. That one is not my timeline to my knowledge. I have not heard that bit of venom. It sounds logical, but I have not heard that one. Mandanimal either remembers that or mine. Definitely used to be correct. Myths become reality, reality becomes myths. Yeah. It's hardly even really a myth. I mean, I couldn't find any residual, and it may have changed years ago. I mean, I'm looking back, and it's been a number of years since I've heard that. Ear ringing. Yeah, the ear ringing, I think, has gotten more strong. I've had that for many years, but it definitely seems stronger. Kind of a high-pitched one, like, nying. It'll cut off and then cut back on. It's just like somebody turns it on or something. I only watched a TV show. There was a panda urinating while doing a handstand. A panda? For reals? I mean, I know the skunks do it. I agree it's a Mandela. P. Let's just go for the simple word. Do pandas do handstands when they pee? No! Oh God, it's real. No, first it was the ridiculous skunks. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Those clumsy doodahs, I can't even believe they could do that. Do pandas do handstands when they pee? Pandas sometimes do handstands when they wee. Sometimes to mark their scents, pandas climb a tree backwards with their hind feet until they're in a full handstand upside down, enabling them to leave their scent higher up. Why do pandas pee upside down? Oh, no, that was not in there. I'm sorry, but there's no way. How many shows have you seen on pandas? Yeah. Okay, and now they're doing it for courtship? Maybe their courtship involves pee now, and just be typical of the current timeline to be gross like that. Okay, here we go.
In northwest China's Gansu.
All right, I'm going to turn off the sound first. That's enough of that. Okay, so that one wasn't so extreme. That was only a partial handstand. Let's see. Are we going to get a more complete handstand out of them? I'm wondering if we'll get... I have no doubt that we are going to get a really good handstand out of them sooner or later, though. Let's see if this one's going to do it. No, I think it's just walking around. So we have the skunks doing the handstand, and that has been on. And, of course, there are these ridiculous, spotted, crazy, no longer one stripe of white skunks. But... So, yeah, Linda Lawful Lamb. Goodbye. I'm going to write that one down. Pandas. Handstand. To pee. And it looks like courtship also. Yeah. You know, it's basically like they do crazy, insane stuff. And then they have this story that comes that sounds all logical. So it's so they can get their scent higher to like spread it further or something. But really, it's a freaking panda doing a handstand. It's a Mandela special to just be weird. Like skunks. Skunk will spray you by doing handstands now. There's no freaking way they would do that. Because, you know, you'd be totally on lookout for that if that was a thing. If you saw the skunk assume the handstand position, you'd run like crazy. Everybody would want to know what the spray position was. So if you see a skunk doing a handstand, it's time to run. Chartreuse was a shade of green, was a shade of red, you mean, now is a shade of green. Puce was a shade of, that was a shade of green for me, puce, like brown green. Now I think it's not. It's not, well, okay, so tinnitus. What is tinnitus? Basically, tinnitus is a word for you hear weird sounds in your ear and they don't know why. That's what tinnitus is. So maybe you're hearing something real. Or maybe that's your brain's translation of something in the environment and it is trying to translate that to your head, that this is happening. So when you say it's not tinnitus, well, we don't know what tinnitus is. So maybe technically they're going to say it's tinnitus. The assumption is that tinnitus is nothing, but tinnitus might be something really interesting because when we were doing the questions on Mandela affected people, there was a huge rate of tinnitus in the community, just like massive. And when I was a kid, like nobody had tinnitus unless you like were involved in like bomb making or something, something that would really damage your ears. But like everybody and their uncle has tinnitus now. So there's something fishy going on with that too. So that for me, I've had tinnitus since the 90s, but it's definitely getting more. Chartreuse is yellow green. Yeah, now, but it used to be like a reddish for the alternate timeline. Animals behave weird, more intelligent. Yeah, and more friendly, less spooked. Chartreuse was pink. So for me, chartreuse was like a burgundy type color. But everybody that's affected remembers it like a red color. Like nobody remembers it any more purple than a burgundy. Like nobody remembers it purple. Nobody remembers it blue. It's all red. Yeah, so in the old days, they'd raise tail and spray. So if you saw them turn around and raise their tail, run like heck. But now, they really go to town because the pandas currently, they're saying that they, put their feet on the back of a tree or something. I don't know if it's going to stay like that. So now, let's see. Hopefully, this is short enough. Are we going to load? All right, so there it is. Doing the handstand. Completely ridiculous. Okay. Have you ever seen that before? So there's a million videos like that now that they do the handstand. And you can see he's got all those weird colors and everything. So it's pretty crazy. Eastern spotted skunk was performing a handstand. The 5G has ramped up. Yeah, I don't know, what is cause and what is effect? What's really happening, or are we just blaming it on that? Is it some, cosmic thing that's happening and we're assuming it's the 5G, or the 5G is just like a physical representation of something happening on a higher level? So yeah, in the old days we would have said it's HARP, and now we got 5G. But I've definitely had tinnitus a lot longer than 5G's been around. Did not go to Loud's concerts when I was a kid, so it's not that. Taos Hum, Auckland Hum, Windsor Hum are these MEs. Haven't heard of them before. Okay, so quite a long time ago, I remember them saying that this new Taos Hum thing had showed up. It was new at the time. It had been happening for 2 years. And then these other ones all kind of showed up in the last few years. Taos Hum, Windsor Hum. And those have been on. I'm quite positive we only ever had a Taos Hum. If I remember right, let's see. Let me just look Taos Hum. When did they say that started? Taos Hum. So they were saying maybe it's a new building or some equipment or like that back in the day because it was new. But I'm curious now when it started. Taos Hum Wiki. When did the hum first get? Because if it was the hum. Okay, so I don't think it's just Taos Hum anymore. Taos Hum. A study into the Taos Hum in the early 1990s indicated that at least 2% could hear it. So they had an investigation in it in the 1990s, but when did it start? There's no info here. So now we have Windsor Home and I totally agree. Windsor Home and Auckland Home. I don't remember those being around. The jet stream. That's the first I've heard of that one. When did Tao's hum start? The hum zones. Bristol, England was one of the first places on Earth where the hum was reported in the 1970s. About 800 people reported hearing a steady thrumming sound. All right, I don't remember it being in the 70s. I would have said a little later, but I wouldn't swear to that one. Reports started trickling in during the 1950s from people who had never heard anything unusual before. Suddenly they were bedeviled by annoying low-frequency humming. Okay. So definitely there was none in the 50s, because the first one for me was Taos, and it was the only one at the time. And they did, documentaries on it and research studies on it, and that was all on TV, and it was only the Taos hum. And it started in my lifetime. I don't think it was as early as the 70s, but it could have been. But it wouldn't have been like 75 or something. It would have to be the end of the 70s. But now they're saying it started in the 50s. That's not right. Generally, the hum is only heard indoors and is louder at night than during the day. I don't remember that indoors thing. 2% can hear it. I thought it was more than that, actually, for the Taos one. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, I do think that it went backwards in time, because I don't think there was anything in the 50s. Starting in spring of 91, the Taos hum. Now, that sounds about right. Residents in the area complained of low-level rumbling noise. That was the only one, though. It started in the 90s, and that was the only one. Then there's one in Bondi, Sydney, Australia. Kokomo hum was isolated in 2003 study. I don't remember anything about Kokomo hum. Kokomo, Indiana. They're blaming it on the Daimler Chrysler plant. But despite noise abatement measures, some residents continue to complain of the hum. So maybe it's not really the Daimler Chrysler plant. All right, so they're going to say they don't really know what causes it, but... Walker's crisp colored switches here in the UK in about 94. It was years later that I got in an argument with someone because they were sure it never happened. Yeah, I've heard of those. When I first came to the Mandela like 5 years ago, they were talking about that. But since that's kind of a UK thing, I'm like, okay, if you say so. Rainbows are inversed. I'm not sure on that one. I do know that the double rainbow used to be 2 regular rainbows, but now the top one is reversed. So that reversed. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think I paid enough attention to know how a single rainbow used to be, though. Fuchsia. Yeah, fuchsia is Fuscia, I believe, was reddish pink. Yeah, fuchsia is still pink, though. It's like a screaming pink. Yeah, I do think the veil is getting thinner, definitely. So, Sapio, I was saying there's a Vandal kingdom in history. That's interesting. I think I heard that about 3 months ago, but I wasn't sure. It was kind of one of those, well, I don't remember hearing a Vandal kingdom. Of course, now I'm sure that they say that's where the word comes from, vandalize, but but I wasn't sure on it. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to put that one on because I really don't know. Berbers, Tatars, and Tartars. Tatars and Tartars are the same one. Berbers, and now they got Vandals. Vandal Kingdom. Okay, well, I'm glad you said that because I just, like I said, I heard it and I'm like, The Vandal Kingdom, or Kingdom of the Vandals and Allens. Vandals and Allens. Is it like the Van Allen belt? Vandals and Allens? Regnum Vandalorum et Eleanorum was established by the German Vandal and Iranian Allens. Yeah, I've definitely not heard of that until like 3 months ago or something. Maybe 2 months ago. Time is so weird anymore. 80,000 people crossed by boat from Hispania to North Africa, advanced eastward, conquered what's now Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. The Roman Empire allowed the Vandals to settle in provinces of Numidia and Mauritania. What the heck is Numidia? When it became clear the Vandal army could not be defeated by Roman military forces. In 439, the Vandals renewed their advance eastward, captured Carthage. Then they conquered the Roman-ruled islands of Mallorca, Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica. The Romans launched 2 unsuccessful military expeditions by sea. The conquest of North Africa by the Vandals was a blow to the beleaguered Western Roman Empire. So I don't really remember the Roman Empire being down in Africa that much. The Vandal kingdom ended in 534 when it was conquered by Belisarius in the Vandalic War and incorporated into Eastern Roman Empire or Byzantine Empire. The surviving Vandals either assimilated or were dispersed among the Byzantine territories. All right, let me just see what this Numidia is. Was a Roman province on the North African coast. Okay, so it's not anything in my lifetime. Yeah, anyway, I'm suspicious about the Vandals thing. Bondi. Yeah, Bondi, Australia, apparently. There's Bondi, Keep a log of the time you hear it and compare notes. Yeah, I'd have to. That might be interesting, actually. You know what I'd like to do if I knew how to do it? I just don't know how you would. But it would be neat if there was like a website that you could go, and when you think there was a shift, you could say, like, I think there was a shift, on November 15, and then like maybe write like your symptoms. I was sad, moody, and I had a headache. Or I was tired and my neck hurt or my back hurt or something. You could, and just see if there's like, and so what would be ideal was that they would be like blinded. So you could type yours in and submit it, but you couldn't see everybody else's until like a week later. So like a week later, they would become visible. So that way you couldn't just like jump on the bandwagon. And then if it would plot out like when people say there's a shift. So I'd be really curious if you had no idea what everybody else was saying and you went there, would all the people kind of be like centered around certain times? Like, I think there's a shift. That would be some really interesting data to see if there's a cohesiveness or bunches of people that shift at the same time. Even better would be if it could track like certain people or groups, like do certain people, like if you log in and you'd have like a username, you could type in some info like I'm in Australia or I'm in California. Could it correlate, could it do some basic math? That would be really cool if there was a way to do that. I just really don't know how you would do that without, there's probably some off the shelf software setup that could be done. But I've asked around and nobody knows anything. But I really wanted to do that because I'm just really curious if we could ourselves, graph it, some at least basic graphing or something. The word thug came from a sect from India called Thuggies. I've not heard of that one. The creepy fan voices. When I first heard of the Mandela, I was so freaked out by the whole thing. And then it was summer and I was hearing the fan and I felt like I was starting to hear voices and I was like, nope. And I feel like I kind of went quit it because I was already freaked up enough. I don't think I could tolerate hearing voices in the fans. And I'm like, no, we're not going there. And I haven't really heard it since. So I might have just shut that table off. I don't want to even go there. Germans and Persians made a kingdom. Totally new. Yeah, I don't know. Although there's a lot of stuff in Africa. I'm like, what? I don't remember ever hearing about that stuff. I don't know what I thought Africa was doing, but it wasn't that. Yeah, you could check the Schumann resonance. I'm just wondering if it can be predicted by people. Because we get threads like that all the time. I think, but the trouble is we have thousands and thousands of people on Redcon. So if somebody posts and says, I felt weird yesterday, there's always going to be some people who said, yeah, me too, just by chance, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So the question is, if you kept people blinded, or at least for a while blinded to what everybody else was saying, and they just independently signed in and made when they thought was a shift, would there be a clear pattern in groupings of people all doing it at the same time or not? And even if there wasn't, that doesn't prove that it's not happening. There's no Mandelas. It could just show that people shift very much on their own time scale. But I'm just really curious if there is a grouping. It really seems like it, But, spectator bias or whatever, who knows? It's definitely possible enough to be worth giving it a shot to track. I'm just not sure how you would do it. You'd have to have some kind of computer skills or something. I've never heard of any Persian empires going to Africa. Yeah, I've had that thing clacking around, that idea for a year, and every time these shift sickness things come up, I think of it. But I just, I've asked some computer people, and they don't know. Maybe you'd have to know a little bit about statistics, and there's probably some kind of software that would do that. It doesn't seem like it's that weird, but it's a little more complicated than your average poll system, Same as people experiencing ME in waves. Yes. So if there's shifts in waves, people experience MEs in waves, then you should have the shift sickness in waves. And even if not everybody even feels it, the ones that do sign in are their groupings. And then we could say, okay, on the 15th, there was a really high number of people signing in saying there was a shift. So we think there was a shift. It's actually fairly easy to make such a site, but it takes quite a bit of time to make it. Well, then it doesn't sound easy. All right, so let's see. What else do I got? We got the Bladder. All right, this one is from John Austin. Star Trekkies. Okay. My fingers are off. So I don't know, do you remember Chekov having this bumpy a hair? So that looks pretty good, but I don't remember his hair being that goofy. I don't know. Is it just me or does his hair look weird? That's like it's like he's got a comb over, but he's a kid, you know? I don't remember him looking like he had a comb over. His hair was it, it's like he's premature bald in these or something. Then there's this one. He looks like a girl. I don't remember that hair either. At least he doesn't look like he has a comb over, but his hair is just like, I don't know, there's just something different. It just looks like he's missing a bunch of hair or something. So I remember his hair being a little more wavy and a little bit less comb over style. So these are all the old Chekov. I don't remember that haircut. I don't know. His face is looking a little girly in here too. I mean, everybody's face kind of changed, but so actually these, when he was older, and I would only guess he's got maybe a hairpiece going on, that actually looks a little bit more like how I remember his hair, but I do remember a little natural wave in it, and I don't think it's in there anymore. So yeah, I don't know. Do you remember the crazy hair? That was John Austen. I do agree. There's something not right. He wasn't that nerdy, geeky, bowl haircut, comb overy that I recall. I was listening to a YouTuber, and she was saying we're going back to the time when all Earth continents were connected, or going to a time when that. I do think we're heading towards Pangea as far as what the continents are doing. In the Bible, they said there'll be one big river too, so maybe that's what we're going to get, is one big freshwater river. And I've said before that it looks to me, look, my hair is doing the same thing as Chekov. I remember, or what am I saying? Okay, I feel like a lot of the changes are kind of like connecting freshwater, big rivers and big lakes and stuff. It kind of looks like it might be making a big snaky river. So like if you look at the Great Lakes, it looks like there's a line of lakes up in Canada that are developing that could connect up, stuff like that. So maybe. But like 30 years ago, I don't remember there being any Pangea. We did not learn of Pangea in school. And then Pangea was like, for a while, a theory that there was no evidence for. And then now it was taught long before I ever remember hearing it, and it's totally agreed on and all that. So I feel like Pangea itself is coming into my timeline. So I don't want to say I'm going back to Pangea, because I don't remember. He looks like Davy Jones. I don't remember there being a Pangea in my old past. So I want to say we're going back to it. It's gotten into the past, and a lot of stuff that's gotten into the past seems to be because it's our future. So we feel like we're going back, but I don't think we're going back. Personally. The shape of his hair was like this. Let's see. Yeah, he does have a Davy Jones look, doesn't he now? That's better, but I do remember a little wave. But yeah, it looked healthier. He didn't look like he was prematurely balding and had a comb over. At least not for me. Pangea links very well with playing ground, because you could easily dome a single. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. If the world is just a dream sim, then it can totally change into what's in the Bible. one land mass with a river and a big dome over it. I've said before, a lot of the stuff that's coming in, a lot of the phenomena that we see in the sky makes it look like there's a dome over. And that stuff was not in my old timeline. But, you know, if it's a sim dream world, then we can rewrite the rules. We've seen physics change. I mean, it's hard to believe that we're going to land in a world that's got a giant dome like in the Bible. But the heck, you know, it's not that much weirder than what we've already seen. So we're going to turn into monkey, lizard, fish, ape, baboons. I don't know what we're turning into. It kind of, like, a lot of people think we might turn into the Greys. I'm not really looking forward to it, but if you kind of see what's popular, it does seem like faces are losing some of their width, and then you'll see the big eyes. So they were blaming it on what do you call those? Filters to make your face look, but basically you need a filter that makes your eyes look much bigger, and you're supposed to look better with the big eyes. And so the girls are filtering their face to make their eyes look bigger. But now we're getting used to those big eye look, you know. So will that kind of shift the biology in that direction? Then less face out the side, and then I don't know, you know, and then the cranium seems to be getting big in the back, and you've got this cone head thing going on. So I'm not really excited about the idea, but I definitely am kind of looking at it sideways. Definitely shifting closer together. If you spin a globe, you can see the Pacific Ocean covers almost half the globe. Yeah, and it wasn't like that before. But I'm wondering if maybe some stuff is going to show up over there or something. Like all those islands, or like, are we going to get a kajillion islands? And so we can live on a kajillion islands. We can all have our own island or something. Because there's just a kajillion freaking islands popping up over there. And a lot of them are weird because they have like a ring of land, and then they're open in the center. So it's weird. And so if all those islands show up, then all we would really need is really good transportation. And then it would totally be worth living there, right? The only thing that's right now is you'd have to take like a ship or a really expensive plane. But say we got anti-grav and we could just bop over to our island. I mean, we could all have our own island. It could be really cool. Has anybody looked at Darth Vader, Lisa? Let's check it out. You know, I was just actually watching The Mandalorian, which is actually well done. It's kind of more like the old flavor of Star Wars, but well done. I would definitely recommend The Mandalorian. And the one thing that freaks me out is that Stormtroopers in The Mandalorian have the new timeline face. So the way I remember the Stormtroopers is they had a helmet very much like Darth Vader's, but it was like white. But the look was not that different. But now it's hugely different because they have these huge rebreather, like giant fish mouth things, and then the helmet is way smaller. All right, so let's see. I like to look at these figurines because it kind of accentuates any coloration. So these gray stripes up here have gotten a lot more prominent. The other thing is I don't remember one in the center. When you were first talking about it, there was a few out the side, but now he's got like a tie. I'm wondering about this belt buckle, what color it is. See, it used to be because of his cloak and stuff, you couldn't see the gray that well, but now you can really see it. Let's see. The lighting's a bit weird there. See, it's definitely, he just doesn't look all pitch black like he used to. All right, we need to go back and see some of the original images. I think that's where he fights Luke. Oh, it's gonna load so slow, but we'll give it some time. Ooh. Dong. All right, what do we got? Now, it looks very suspiciously like the belt buckle has changed. I haven't seen that in a while. You know, I really don't remember him looking like he was wearing like pajama pants, crinkle pajama pants. Do you remember the crinkle pajama pants look? I don't remember this. It looks like he's got some kind of weird, he looks like he's wearing sleeping bag material or something. The more I look at it, the more I just realize that material is not how I remember. See, there's the pants, there's the sleeve. I don't remember that material. It looks kind of funny. All right, so in the artwork you can see the that was not in there. It looks even stupider in the artwork. He looks like he's wearing, I don't know what. You know, it kind of reminds me of those when you're moving the moving cloth. In America, like if you borrow a moving van, they'll give you those cloth to protect furniture. It looks like that. All right, I'm trying to get an idea on the belt buckle. I'm pretty sure the belt buckle looks like it changed, but it's hard to see when the lighting is weird. See, look, it looks like it's gotten really gray with an X on it or something. You know what that belt buckle looks like? It looks like a seat belt. Doesn't that look like a seat belt? So I've said before, and I've been saying a long time, that when this first started happening, there was just a few buttons on the seat belt, on the belt. And now there's like 10 kajillion freaking buttons on there. I mean, this is insane. And there's a seat belt with an X. Boy, that chain is looking pretty light coated. He's got the crinkle pants. He looks less scary all the time. He's not black. Yeah, I don't remember his pants and his arm stuff being shiny at all either. He's got shiny crinkle pants now. It was just deep black pitch. So there's something awry. Look at that crinkle pants. I don't think so. Oh, and see, there's some here too. So it looks like he's got like maybe seat cushioning for pants and a seat belt. This looks like a car part here too. It's all gray. It's all car parts. I don't know. The face looks pretty. So we've talked a lot about changes in the past on the face, but it looks. The only thing is, I'm a little suspicious in here. It kind of looks like he's got a neck brace on now. Did he always have that like that? It looks. Let me look at some more images, but it seems like there's a lot of. So this isn't. What's up going on in here? There's something. I don't remember the piece coming down and around like that. You know what's creepy is this reminds me a bit of the scarecrow where I was talking about the skin coming down and the rope around his neck. Now we've got the plastic coming down and we've got this chain. Now I don't remember there being a chain originally, but it's been there at least a year. And the chain looks like it's turning light too. It was black when it first showed up. So I don't remember the chain. It's not very high tech with a chain. It looks kind of goofy. All right, this must be a more recent one. I don't. Now he looks like he's got a neck bib on. That might be a more. Yeah, that's the other thing is, I gotta make sure I look at the old ones because the newer ones are probably different. But then again, he died, so there is no newer ones, is there? Well, okay, maybe him when he was younger. See, it just looks like there's a lot of something going on under here that I don't recall. Well, he's got a gray cod piece on in this one, just a PNG file, but if he grows a gray cod piece, look at that. He's getting grayer and grayer. It's almost like the clothing is staying black, but the rest is turning gray. I'm going to laugh so hard if there's like a gray cod piece on Darth. The way things are going with these cod pieces, though. Look at how shiny that is. That does not look right. Look at that. There was no shiny. It looks kind of like a magician's tacky cape. What the heck? The seat belt. Shiny magician. This is not right. I'm sorry. This is not right. Yeah, good call to check this. It is funny. Yeah, check it out. So he does have a shiny silver belt buckle now. It's even shinier than the gray stuff. So I don't know. Did you guys see anything else that I didn't mention? Never made that connection. Big eyes are in cartoons, games, everywhere. Yep. Yeah, there's such a huge thing about the big eyes. Fortunately, mine do not appear to have gotten any larger. Anime characters. Yeah, I don't know. I think I got the anime hair sometimes, but I did not get the eyes. Big heads compared to how it was using the rest. Yep. It seems like, there's a lot less like big bulky guys now, maybe a little bit thinning down. I don't know. They now say the ring islands are actually what is left after bombing more natural looking islands. World War II. I don't know. I've watched those grow and show up, so they can call it whatever they want, but Mandalorian or Mandela Orion. Ah, interesting concept. I think Mandalorian was a thing before we shifted, but hey, who the heck knows? It's a good show though. I haven't been really thrilled with some of the recent Star Wars episodes of the movies, but Mandalorian is quite good quality, and it's got more of that old school feel to it as far as the pacing and the kind of plots and stuff. Yeah, so I don't know, or maybe just some of us are going to turn into grays and some of us aren't. I don't know. Looks like a generic. Yeah, it's like somebody was trying to be Darth Vader, but they didn't have all the right stuff. So they used cheesy parts, but that is him now. Squirrel teeth trend. Okay, I'm not sure what that one is. Turning gray, but there's a shot. Maybe if you get the Britney, then you will get that. I don't know. Now I'm kind of curious for a full length. All right, so here's this is not actually him, but yeah, so that was the thing. I'm watching all these stormtroopers, which are the stormtroopers left over from the Empire, so they should have the kosher stormtrooper outfit. And I've talked before about the cod pieces and stuff. So, yeah, there's something going on here. I'm trying to remember how it was before, but I don't remember it looking like that. Let's get a more, when you need to see a whole full-length one, it's hard to find. There definitely seems to be something there that it's not right. For starters, it's a dangly downy part that I don't remember. Trying to think, what was it? I think there was just more fabric hanging down there, so you didn't see the legging part so much. Trying to remember. I hate that. I know it's changed, but I can't exactly remember what was there before. Of course, there's 10 million close-up shots. It's not helpful. Anyway, I might have to dig into that some more, but something's a little different. Vader had a V-shaped underwear-like plastic-looking compact adult diaper. Okay, not that cod piece. Okay, that sounds about right. He had a cape, you couldn't see his pants. Well, he still has a cape. But I seem to, I don't know. A part of it was, I think it was all so black, pitch black, that you couldn't see much in there, but that's not the case anymore. Yeah, it was 100% black. Then like one or two colored lights showed up, and then it just went crazy. All right, got that one. Got that one. Okay, one left. Kind of a slow Mandela week, but I'm getting better at yapping endlessly, so another wall has shown up. Now, technically, this is only from the 1980s, but it still seems a little strange. I've never heard of this. The Moroccan Western Sahara Wall. 2,700 kilometers long structure. So they're saying a lot of it is a sand wall, like they just stacked up sand. What I don't really get is like sand. I mean, it's a desert. the dunes are shifting. So what is like keeping this all together? Why does it stay? All right, so they stack it up, but after 20, 30 years, I mean, it doesn't shift around, or the wind doesn't blow it down or blow it around. All right, so there's some images of it. Then it's, I mean, like, why make it all windy like that? So it's a really big wall. So now they're saying that there's bits of it that are solid. Think like this one here. Is that Moroccan wall, the berm of Western Sahara? So there are these solid spots. I mean, have you ever heard of this thing? Because it's pretty significant. There it is. So there's some of these, like some structures built in here. I'm wondering if this is a beginning of, well, it is a new wall, but I'm wondering if this is how it starts. So this whole thing is just pretty bizarre. I've never heard of it. Started in 1980. Let's go to the wiki. So it's 1,700 miles long, mostly a sand wall running through Western Sahara in the southwestern portion of Morocco. It separates the Moroccan areas on the west from the Polisario-controlled areas on the east. The main function of the barrier is to exclude guerrilla fighters of the Polisario front. So it's just like a little hill, though. They're saying it's about 8 to 10 feet high, and it's really, I mean, like, I'm an old lady kind of, and I could get over it without much trouble. I can't imagine it stops gorillas. But then they said the whole thing is mined on one side, like 1,700 miles of mines. I've never heard of this. Some of it wanders onto Mauritanian territory. The fortifications lie uninhabited or very sparsely inhabited. They consist of sand and stone walls or berms about 10 feet in height, with bunkers, fences, and landmines throughout. The barrier mine belt that runs through the structure is thought to be the longest continuous minefield in the world. Military bases, artillery posts, blah, blah, dot Moroccan controlled side of the wall at regular intervals. Now, this other person's saying the berm is 6 to 7 feet high with a backing trench, which rides along a topographical high point ridge hill throughout the territory. But, you know, looking at the map, it just looks like ordinary land under it, so I don't know. In all, 6 lines of berms have been constructed. The main external line of fortifications extends for 1,600 miles. It runs from East Gujarat on the coast in the extreme south, parallels the Mauritanian border before turning northwards beyond Tekla. Built by Moroccan forces starting in 1980. Ended in 87, built in 6 stages. So, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever heard of it? Close. Looks like more speed bumps for camels. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I guess they're trying to say it does something because of the mines, but then they wouldn't have to build that berm to put the mines. But then I guess the berm helps you know where the mines are, but I just can't see them being in that big a panic to keep those guys out, and when they just put a couple flags up and put the mines, because that berm's not doing anything. It's the mines that are really the only thing that's doing anything. Since it's sparsely populated, a sand dune is taller than 10 feet, so. Next there will be a Chinese wall. Well, yeah, ha. I saw people saying the Chinese wall has the defensive holes in the wall on the wrong side. I've seen that, but you can't trust everything on the internet. And when I see the pictures, I have no idea which side is the China side. So I don't know how legit that is. It could be. And it fits in with a lot of the Tartaria theory. But when I see an image and I see hills on either side, I don't know which side's the China side. The Great Wall of China is now 13,000 miles long, except for there's like all different ones, and they don't all connect up, and it isn't just one wall, and there's some over here, and it goes over there, and it was built in different hundreds of years, and a lot of it's just piles of mud, and it's all wrong on the China side. It's all wrong. Oh, I'm on Top Chat again. I don't know why it's defaulting to that. There, I fixed it now that we're almost done. Without censor sheep. That is a good nickname for them. Censor sheep. I like those. Censor sheep. That's the first I've seen that, and I very much like it. They say land mines, but mean mining the land. I don't know. It's an interesting play on words. But anyway, I'm done. So, and you guys came up with some good ones, so appreciate that. But I'm pretty much done yakking now. So you get 10 seconds of good live chat. So 6 stages, they meant like section by section is what they seem to have meant. Like first this area, then this area. Because it only took them 7 years. And then they added additional layers. So if you have a berm that really doesn't do much, and then you have mines, and then you put in another berm that doesn't do much, what is the point of the second berm? Are you going to put that second berm in right next to where the mines are in the first berm and risk dirt falling on those mines? The whole story is a little funny. There's a lot more twin fuselage airplanes in World War II. Wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember jets in World War II, but now we have them. Can't wait to start having arguments about Darth Vader's cod piece always being there. I bet you it turns gray. I bet you. Watch, it'll turn like red or something stupid. Yeah, no fan voices. I was just like, no, I'm not hearing it. That was just too much for my little brain. And I haven't heard it since, so I don't know. I found out I'm chat banned on 2 channels. I don't know. Who remember the Red Bull in the IT movie? I don't know that movie, sorry. I've only just started watching TV shows again, but I'm still pretty picky. I don't watch that many of them. But I am enjoying The Mandalorian so far. It's famously red, the bloom. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Yes, Sapioid. I think that Star Trek or Star Wars was not like pervy enough. That's why they had to add, the Mandela had to add those cod pieces in. All right, anyways, so I think I'm about done. Very much thank you for coming and contributing a lot of good Mandelas. It's time for me to head on out. So thank you, everybody. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.